Hello, Grand Knights. Congratulations for winning your election to become the new Grand Knight for your councils, and even returning Grand Knights to the councils. I am the Nevada State Secretary, Joe Hahn. Today I would like to talk to you about what you should be doing now before the Fraternal Year starts on July 1st. If you get a pencil and paper, let's get ready to go over some of the key items that you need to have ready now with your newly elected officers and some of the people you may have already selected for chairmanships and directors within your council. So now you're a Grand Knight of your council. This is awesome, and you get to have an opportunity to make a lot of changes or to continue the successes of your council. Your council has elected you as a Grand Knight to lead the council into the next Fraternal Year, and they're expecting big things from you, and it can be a lot of pressure for you. It can be kind of difficult. I remember I was a Grand Knight for 2 years, and I felt the pressures. I felt the stress of being a Grand Knight, but also there was a lot of rewards for being a Grand Knight. I had dealings directly with the priests of my parish. Most of the people in my church and my parish seemed to knew who I was all the time. So whenever I was on the grounds of the parish, I was recognized right off. So being a Grand Knight, you have a lot of visibility, and it can be an awesome responsibility, but it's also very rewarding. In the next few weeks, before you have your first council meeting, whether it be online, virtual meeting, or in person, you need to do a lot of things between now and then, or else you're going to be off to a slow start. So what I wanted to do is write a video out for you today that kind of gets you going in the right direction so that you're well prepared for that first meeting, and various key people in your council is also ready to get going and get that momentum going right off in your first meeting in July. So let's look at a couple of things that we should be doing right now. First of all, we need to understand the structure of the state officers, the district deputies, and even to your council. Within the state, there is the state officers. Their job is kind of like a council, but on a much bigger scale. Instead of a membership of maybe 30 to 230 people, us, the state officers, we have a membership of nearly 6,000 members, 5,900 and maybe 20 to 40 people. Depends on how the year ends right now. Your first person is the state deputy. Everybody should know who he is. In our state, Nevada, is Tony Pasqua. He is a returning state officer with a very successful first year. And all of us should be supporting him to have a second very successful year. I know the officers, all of us, are on board with that, and we want him to have a very good second year. But it all comes down to the individual councils to do their role to help us as a state to have that successful year. The second person that's an elected officer at the state level is the state secretary, me. The state secretary's role is kind of a combination in a council of a financial secretary and also the deputy Grand Knight. I kind of fill two roles at the same time. The state secretary, of course, we look over all the money that comes in and goes out of the state bank accounts. We write the vouchers, we write the deposit slips. We're also there for the audit. But we also have the role of being second in the state. So there's a constant communication between the state deputy and myself. We're always discussing various things that are going on into the state and coming up with solutions all the time. In a sense, the state secretary is in training to become the state deputy in the years to come, depending, of course, upon the membership. The third state officer is the state treasurer. The state treasurer is just like the person your council treasurer. His job is to deposit the checks, to write the checks for any kind of bills that we may have. He's also keeping track of our financials, whether we have a positive or a negative. Right now, the state's in great shape, and we have a very positive accounts that we have actually 5 different accounts that we use for the various functions of the state. So his job is watching that bank account at all times and making sure that we have the money necessary to support our various state programs. The 4th elected office is what's known as the state advocate. Just like your council advocate, he is kind of the lawyer. And in our case, in the state of Nevada, he is a lawyer. Our state advocate, John, is well versed in law, and he understands exactly how our bylaws are written and Supreme's bylaws. When later on this year, when you're getting prepared to go to the state convention, which this year will be held at 9102 Our Lady of Las Vegas, he's the person that you're going to send your resolutions to. These resolutions are where you want to make changes to the bylaws, or if you want people to run for certain offices. That all goes to him, and he goes to a committee that he selects, and then they go through those resolutions and see which ones will go forward into the state convention. Also, if there's any discrepancies that people may have from the councils that they don't know whether this works well or not, they will then send it on to the state advocate. If he doesn't know the answer, he sends it on to the Supreme Advocate, and then it comes back down to the council advocate. With that, remember, just like if you ever was in the military, there's protocol. Never, ever go over people's head. If your council has a question, they should come to you, the Grand Knight. If you don't know the answer, you take it to your district deputy. If he doesn't know the answer, it comes to the state. And if we don't know the answer, it goes to Supreme. So the chances of any question or problem that we may have should be handled at the state level or lower. And going to Supreme as a first resort is a big no-no, okay? We can handle almost any question or problem within the state. So just remember that in protocol. The 5th elected office is what's called the state warden. He's just like the person in your council, your council warden. His job is to bring things to meetings and take things away from meetings. He kind of has the store of all the state property. He's in charge of the state property. This year, that is Tom Bellardi. He comes out of Council 9102, Our Lady of Las Vegas. So you want to know the state warden, but also kind of an unusual situation, but he's also the state membership director, which is a very important role. His job is to help every council to recruit new membership into the councils. Last year, as state membership director, he was instrumental in the state doing as well as it has, and he deserves a lot of accolades for that. So then the next positions at the state officer level is the appointed positions that fall underneath the state deputy. The first of those is what's known as the state chaplain. Our state chaplain is Father Manning. And just like in your council, you have a council chaplain, usually your parish priest. Ours is Father Manning. He's done an excellent job last year, and I know he will again this year. He's probably one of the best state chaplains we've ever had. He's extremely active, and he's always out there with us, supporting us and giving us the spiritual support that we need in our council, in our state meetings, and any programs that the state may be doing. He's also available to you as a council officer, as a council Grand Knight. If you're having difficulty with your parish priest, as he's not understanding exactly what you do in your role, you can always talk to Father Manning, and he will, on your part, talk to your council, your parish priest about the Knights and how he can work with you. Remember, brothers, we're here to serve our priest. The priests are not here to do our bidding. We're here to support them. And anything that the parish priest may need of us, we should be there ready to do it for him. So when you have your first meeting with your parish priest in July, hopefully, that better be when it is, the first thing you should be saying is, what can we, as a council of the Knights of Columbus, do for you, Father, for this parish? What do you want from us that we haven't already been doing, and how can we support the parish? That is what is expected of the Grand Knight when he meets with the parish priest. Never, ever tell him what he can do for your council. That is not the role. The next person on the non-elected side is the immediate past state deputy. And just like in your councils, you have trustees, your 3-year trustee, 2-year trustee, 1-year trustee. That is the immediate past state deputy at the state council level. His job is to advise the state council through what his experiences as when he was a state deputy. And so any situation that may arise that the state deputy doesn't know how to quite handle, he always has the immediate past state deputy to talk to. Our immediate past state deputy is Tom Thorne. He lives in Reno, so he's one of the few officers that are not actually in the Las Vegas diocese, but he's in the Reno diocese. Also, our state advocate is also in the Reno diocese. So it's good that we have almost half of our officers in the Reno diocese and Las Vegas diocese. The next position, he doesn't really hold a per se position. This is each state deputy may decide to have this position, or they may not. But this position is the state executive secretary. Some people confuse him with me, but we do two different jobs, completely different type of jobs. The state executive secretary is just like your recorder in your council. He does very similar job to that. Anything that the Grand Knight needs, as far as sending out emails, sending out messages, writing a letter or something that he doesn't have time to do, that's what the recorder does. Well, the state executive secretary does the exact same thing for the state deputy, but on a much larger scale. He is an extremely busy person. He not only gets requests from the state deputy, which is priority for him, but he also gets requests from the various elected state officers. So he is always doing something for us. And as of right now, what he's preparing for July is the state directory. So please, if you have your officers selected and you've already submitted your officers form to Supreme, and you've already selected your community director, family director, please send that information over to our state executive secretary, Richard Seneker. Now, Richard Seneker was previously a financial secretary for St. Joseph Husband of Mary, that council there. And he's also has a second role that he plays, which I don't understand how he has the time, but he does it really well as a district deputy. I believe it's District 3 for the Elko, Winnemucca, and Ely area. So he is an extremely busy man, and plus he runs his own business. So, in fact, almost all of us run our own business. So that's pretty impressive that we were able to run a business and also do the duties of a state officer for Nevada. Now you have the elected officers. You know who they are. You know who the appointed officers are, the state chaplain, immediate past state deputy, the state executive secretary. There's also another group of the state team, and it's a very large group. These are, first of all, the state committees. The state committees, just like a council has committees, we have directors of those committees. You have a few directors also in your council. And then we have chairmans. The chairmans they're broken up and they fit underneath the various directors. Like a membership director has a retention chairman and a couple other individuals that fall under him. Just the same as in your council. The only difference is we're doing it for 6,000 members of the Knights of Columbus. You're doing it for about 30 to 230 people. So it's a much larger scale, but it's just the way it is at the state level. So that's the first line over there is our committees. We have roughly 16 different committees that we run throughout the year. And they range from anything from youth directors to the membership directors to charities, all just numerous types of programs that they do. So you'll know more about that as we discuss them in the coming weeks. The other group, this is a group that you're going to know very well because they're the ones who are going to be showing up in your meetings all the time, and they're the ones who you'll be talking to for advice almost weekly. The first individual is who's called your district deputies, your districts. In Nevada, we have 12 districts. These districts are broken out throughout the state. And in some areas, in Reno and Sparks, there's 3 or 4 districts. And well as out at Elko, Winnemucca, and Ely, there's only 1 district deputy. Then you get down to the Las Vegas area. Then you got the center part of the state, which is the district deputy there is Chuck, and he handles about 250 miles in between his districts. And then you get down to the Las Vegas area. There's 3 or 4 districts within Las Vegas area. Then you have Henderson. There's 2 or 3 there. And then you go on down into Boulder City and on down further. Laughlin is the furthest down to the south. And so that's all your district deputies. Under the district deputies, they have their own team of people too. They have a warden, just like your council warden. He's in charge of the just like in your council, the warden is responsible to be more or less a parliamentarian, making sure people are checking in and that various thing when they have a district meeting. But the warden job in the district deputy, under the district deputy, he is the next district deputy to be appointed. So you need to know who your warden is for your district warden. All district deputies should have a warden. And that warden, like we said, is being trained to become the next district deputy. Underneath the district deputies is where you fall under, and that's your council. Each district has 3 to 5 councils. So let's say you belong to 5693. You have 3 other councils that you are under. That's District 12. And so there's a total of 4 councils. In the council, you are the leader of your council, the Grand Knight. And underneath you is the Deputy Grand Knight, and then comes the Chancellor, and then the various other offices underneath that. These are the key officers, elected officers of the council. Now, everyone knows that there's a lot to do as a Grand Knight, and if you let it, the job will overwhelm you. But if you don't want it to overwhelm you, please heed my advice. I was a Grand Knight for 2 years. So was every other state officer. They were at least 2 years or more. And we all experienced this. And I would highly recommend that you heed my words here that I'm about to say. There are 2 officers below you, elected officers. This is your Deputy Grand Knight and your Chancellor, okay? Your Deputy Grand Knight is also your Program Director. Your Program Director. What does that mean? That means all programs that you do in your council, they report to the Deputy Grand Knight. Each of the programs have a chairman. Even the directors in the council, your membership director, all those guys, they all answer to the Deputy Grand Knight. They give their reports during every meeting. They hand those reports to the Deputy Grand Knight. He then makes a report for everybody in the meeting to you. It's his job to make sure that these chairmen and the directors in the council are prepared for the various programs. Some of the programs happen later in the year. They can take a little bit more time. But the early ones, like the Tootsie Roll Drive chairman, he needs to be active right now, making sure he orders the Tootsie Rolls, making sure he's got the place assigned where you're going to be handing out the Tootsie Rolls, things like that. That's one program. So that's a very important role, is the Deputy Grand Knight. You don't want to do your job plus his. Okay, he needs to do his job. The second individual is the chancellor. I was a chancellor in my council. I wasn't told what my job was. I learned what my job was when I became the Grand Knight, and I had already passed through other chairs. I became a chancellor, deputy Grand Knight, then Grand Knight. And it wasn't until I became a Grand Knight that I learned what the chancellor's job was. I finally got a booklet that told me. The chancellor's job, and this is going to make it easier for you, he is the individual that knows the membership. If you got 30 people in your council, he's got an easy job. If you got 230, 300 people in your council, his job's getting a little harder and he might need some help. His job is to be in contact with all members of the council. All members. He should know everybody in the council. He is also to be seated on the membership board. So when people are coming in to become knights and they want to become part of the council, he is the person that leads that board that reviews them, and he has other people like his trustees or whatever is also on the board to review this person to become a knight in the council. So his job is to know everyone. So if he knows everyone, that means he's also, whatever programs that are coming up, let's say you have a Tootsie Roll Drive and you need 20 people to be there for the Tootsie Roll Drive, it's his job to make sure he gets those 20 people there. It's his job to make sure he gets those 20 people to that program, that Tootsie Roll program, that breakfast, that seminary and raffle ticket drive, whatever the program is, it's his job to make sure that those people are there, that he calls these people, he gets them confirmed, he gets them on a list, and he gets them there. If those two individuals, your Deputy Grand Knight and your Chancellor, does their job, all you have to do is fill out the paperwork for the state and Supreme, and that makes your job a lot easier. And you can hold meetings, and you don't have to be finding out things during meetings, the monthly meetings. You actually, they report to you about that. So make sure that your Deputy Grand Knight and Chancellor know what their job is. It's in the handbook. So when you become a Grand Knight, when you're first elected, you got about a month before you become the actual Grand Knight. So we call you the Worthy Grand Knight Elect. And that means you're in waiting. And you should be preparing and doing your paperwork and everything, getting ready to go on July 1st. So I'm going to give you at least 4 tasks that you need to be doing right now before July 1st. Task number 1 is to appoint your program director, your family director, and your youth director. Then with these 3 individuals, you're going to discuss with them exactly what their jobs are, and you need to get them prepared to fill out the Supreme Safe Environment Program. It is going to be a requirement this fraternal year that all 3 positions are filled, and the 4 of you, including yourself, have gone through the Safe Environment Program. So if they're not willing to go through that, find someone else to fill that position. You must have them complete the Safe Environment Program with Supreme. Okay. Task number 2. I would say in the first couple of months of the year coming up, let's say month July, August, September, October, November, and possibly even December, any programs that are going to be happening between now and then, you need to make sure you have your chairmans appointed by July 1st, and that you talk to them that they need to be prepared to fill out reports on those programs that can go back into the council's records, and that they will report to the program director, your Deputy Grand Knight, so that he can give a report during the council meeting. It's going to make his job a lot easier if they know they have to do it, and they give it every single time you have a council general meeting. Also, you want the chairmen to come to your council meetings so that people get to know who they are. So that's very, very important. Task number 3. This is where you're going to sit down with your council officers and set out the goals for this year coming, this fraternal year, from July to June 30th. What are your council goals? Now, I would look at what the council has done in the past couple years and at least try to do better than what has happened before. At least try to do better than what the council has done in the past previous couple of years. Let's say you have the inevitable position of being a 6-star council from this fraternal year. It's going to be a little hard to try to exceed that. But there's other things that you can do, trying to do better at the various programs that you had done this year. See if you can expand into other areas. Did you have a hard time doing certain programs? Let's look at how to do them better. Maybe some of the programs didn't do very well. Should you keep them? Should you modify them? Should you throw them out? So that's what you and your officers need to look at between now and July 1st and set up a game plan for what you're going to do for the next coming year. What are your goals? If you're a council that hasn't had STAR in 5, 6, 8, 10 years, maybe that's your goal this year, is to hit STAR council this year. Then again, it may be that you've had a difficult time submitting the necessary paperwork into Supreme, hitting those dates. So you want to set a goal this year of all reports will be submitted before the deadline. Okay, that may be one goal. It may be another goal to meet the qualifications for the program award, the Father McGivney Award, the Founders Award, or, like I said, to go for Star Council. Maybe it was last year you have a 1-star council. Let's go for a 2-star council this year. So whatever the goals are, you want your officers to get on board with you and so that they support your plan. If your officers support you, if the membership is not for it, they know the officers are, so therefore they will fall in line also. They voted in the entire officer slate, so they're going to do what the officers want to do for this year. Task number 4 is that you're going to fill out all the programs that you plan to do for the next 12 months in a calendar. Put it on a calendar. Now, right now, we don't have the planners quite yet for this year. We'll have those probably by the time we have our DD training later on in July. But you can easily download a 12-month calendar from the internet, or if you want to, you can go down to Barnes & Noble and buy a calendar book from July from July 1 to June 30th. They're available there. And then fill it in and put all the when you're going to do the various dates and when you plan to do those. And then take a look at all the programs. The minimum number of programs that you are required to do by Supreme is 16 programs. 4 of those programs has to be in one category, 4 more in another category, 4 more in another category, and 4 more in another category. Church, family, life, programs. So in each one of those categories, they have a special program. If you do it, you don't have to do the rest of them, or maybe only a few of the other ones. And they also have required programs that you must do in each of the 4 categories. Look at least this year's planner. Get it from the Grand Knight. If you're the new Grand Knight, get it from the current Grand Knight so you can see what those programs are. If you don't have that access, always go onto the internet, kofc.org, and just Google in, the planner Knights of Columbus, and it'll pop right up. Also, I'm going to send you a copy of last year's planner blank so you can see it also. So you can look at that also. Now you got all your programs written down. There's at least 16 or more, and then you have the 4 programs in each of the 4 categories. Excellent. Now, what I would like for you to do, and this is very important, do not wait until June 2021 to fill out your Form SP7. The SP7 is the form that's filled out to send into Supreme to get the award for doing the 16 programs. Fill out the form now. Whoa. Why now? We haven't even done the programs. This is why. You fill it out now. And as you do these programs, you can check them off. Check, check, check. You can get almost all of them between now, July 1, and December 30th. By January 1, you could probably have almost all of them done. You may have one or two left. So you may have finished it up in January or February or March. The final check goes on. I got them all done. 16 are done. Send it to Supreme. You don't have to wait till June to send in your SP7. You can do it early. Get it over with. It's done. It's out of the way. And you won't be hearing from me about we need the SP7s turned in, or there's questions that the Supreme doesn't have your SP7 yet. You know it's in. I know it's in because I have a report that comes out daily from Supreme letting me know who's turned them in. So fill it out now, get it ready to go, and check them all off. Once all 16 are checked, email it to Supreme. You're done. You got that award. And it's I would say the easiest award to receive is this program award from Supreme. You can do this, and it's going to put leaps and bounds on you. You don't want to wait until June and try to scratch your head and try to remember back 12 months ago what you may have done in order to fill out one more program to qualify on the SP7 form. I'm going to be sending out videos almost every week, and they're going to be short little explanations about what you should be doing and trying to tell people who's doing good and what you can do better, various things like that. But I'm also wanting to hear from you. I want you to send me comments, send me emails, send me questions, anything that you may have. If there's enough Grand Knights to have the same question, we'll have it on the video to explain it to everybody. Because if you have the question, there's probably someone else, another Grand Knight, that has the same question. So, but they're probably too afraid to ask because they think it may be a silly question. No question is silly. It's just that you don't know the answer, and as soon as you get the answer, it's going to be obvious what it is that you have to do. So I want to hear from you. Where do you contact me at? It's very simple. Google Nevada Knights of Columbus, Nevada State Council Knights of Columbus. It comes up we're the first listing. You pick on that. You go in there and you do on the left side of the page, you go down to the state officers. It says officers. And then you'll see Tony's picture, State Deputy Tony Pasqua. You'll see the state chaplain, Father Manny, the immediate past state deputy, Tom Thorne. And then you see me, okay? And right below my picture is a little place where you can click there for email. Just click it, and it comes right to me. Put in whatever your question is there. It comes to me. I get it. I then send you a response back and let you know the answer. It's very simple. But if you don't want to do that, ask your district deputy. Ask your trustees. That's what they're there for, to advise you. So the district deputy, ask one of the other officers. If you're in a council that has one of the state officers in it, go ahead and ask them. If you go to a function and one of the state officers are there, go ahead and ask them. But I'm always available to answer any question that you may have. So we're looking forward to see all your questions. What we want as state officers is that we're here for you. And we want you to have a successful year. I believe this year coming up is going to be an incredible year. And there's going to be a lot of star councils, far more than this year. Our numbers are going to be really high this year. The programs that we're going to be doing throughout a whole state will be immense. We're all coming off the pandemic, and we're eager to go. And so it's going to be a lot of excitement. It's going to be a great year. I welcome you as being the new Grand Knight, or continuing as a Grand Knight. And you're on for a ride this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, you'll remember this for years and years to come. You'll always remember the years as being the Grand Knight of your council. And I'll see you on the next video in about a week. So go ahead and do those 4 tasks, and we'll see you next week. Talk to you later.